right.
I guess we should start. Tell me who Joe is.
Who Joe is?
Mm-hmm.
Joe's a creator and a creation. And it's all always being manifest and unmanifest. And it's funny because Joe isn't even my real name. My real name is Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
Or that's my birth name.
Mm-hmm.
And identity is definitely an interesting concept. For lack of a better phrase.
Right.
I just paused because I just had a moment. I just saw something in my shoe. There's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful print on my shoe. These are off-white, made by Virgil. And it's just 3 things. It's 2 hands and a face just looking up.
Mm.
And wow. Like, certain, I trust every shimmer of light that my body inputs.
Mm-hmm.
How could I not?
Mm-hmm.
It is me.
Mm-hmm.
My observation is me. For what I observe is what my reality is. Yeah.
What do you think, if there is one, was a turning point or a point in your journey that formed this realization of this identity? What is something that crucially stood out, or if there even was one?
Which identity? What identity?
This understanding of identity.
Well, it's really been a journey of awakening and coming to what I know to be Father, or the All, or the One, or God, or the universe, or the infinite unmanifest, the everything. A non-dualistic, unified consciousness. What was the question?
What, if there is one, was a turning point or a specific experience that helped you form or realize or come to the awareness of this understanding of identity?
Well, a couple things happened in my life. I lost a friend of mine. And then, very shortly after, I went to a Celtics game. Totally unrelated events. But at the Celtics game, I saw waves of energy moving through people. Mm-hmm. And that combined with the philosophy that my friend Luke embodied. It propelled me into this awareness of the oneness. And ever since then, I have been dancing through its implications, its consequences. always been interested in that, not necessarily the oneness, but evolution and its direction. Where is information moving towards, and why, and how? You know, the how has always been interesting to me. We can see networking patterns in nature, like branches, like veins, like lightning, like arteries. It's been a journey of understanding this infinite fractal and coming to terms with what that means. Like I said, the implications, the consequences are infinite. And then walking within that awareness, this awareness that only that which I observe will be my reality, and the entirety of my universe can only reflect that vibration. It's an automatic and infinite creation and destruction. There is no yin or yang. It's not any dualistic implication becomes removed. And it's almost like the fractal spirals in on itself until it becomes everything and nothing. The key is to not collapse the wave function, folks. Do not observe, or observe only one reality. Walk when we walk, read when we read. One pointed consciousness is the key to liberation. If I look at that black dot and nothing else, and I don't think about anything else, and that is the only thing in my entire existence,
how do you then justify other people's existence?
What do you mean by justify? Because you just totally existed. There was a black dot, and then suddenly there was sound, you know, and the sound was from the source of existence. I think it's similar to if there's a tree that falls in the forest and no one's there to hear it, doesn't make a sound. It's all in the observation, and observation is relative based on space-time.
More so, if something is not part of your reality,
is it still happening?
Is it still important to your reality?
Well, if I make it important to my reality, if I'm looking at that black dot on the wall, am I going to be thinking about the rhinoceros? The endangered rhinoceros? Maybe. Only if I think about the endangered rhinoceros. Now, it has been proven that until things are observed, they exist in a state of infinite manifest and unmanifest. Everything and nothing. The rhinoceros is endangered and not endangered and upside down and 100. The observation, it creates the entire universe. I believe that is what the light of the universe is. It's the external, what is seen. Not what's out there. There's nothing out there. It's what is seen, because I can only see what I see.
Elaborate on that. You can
Tell me
only
something
see
that I can't see right now.
something that you can't see.
Yes. Because right now I'm looking at a black dot on the wall. And that is the only thing I can see right now. Tell me what I can't see right now.
A rhinoceros.
And now I'm seeing a black dot on the wall and the rhinoceros. And that is my entire existence. Those are the only things that I have observed. Now, whether or not that rhinoceros is endangered, existent, non-existent, floating, I don't know until I am there and I'm looking at it and I'm just observing it. But I cannot be it. You know, does that justify its existence? Well, I'll never be able to know what it feels like to be that rhinoceros, but I know what I am looking at, and that's all I can know, what I see, what I observe. And if I choose to only observe a one thing, then every single thing else is in an infinite state. And then I am forever new. And every single person that I meet, I will just be looking at them like they're absolutely pure, totally new, nothing, no past implications, no future expectations, just looking at just like pure love, you know, just being pure love. Yeah, and that's always the destination. That's always where it comes back to.
Mm-hmm. That idea of pure love.
Yes.
How do you feel like you are able to do that through your art?
Convey pure love?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's in the being. It's in the being. The art is a byproduct of the being and a very specific energy of my being. It's the information that must be made physical in my universe. Everything I've ever made is perfect, for it's what came out of my brain. And embodying that is love.
Mm-hmm.
And being that is love. So when people collect my work or they see my work and they feel this elevation of, it's really like a pull to transcendence, an elevation to like go beyond. Not because we are lacking, but because that's how I believe the universe works, is in directionality. You know, we can either fall or we can climb, up, down. And in this infinite, unmanifest reality, we decide our own destiny. I choose what my future holds based on who I am now. The future, what is the future but a different now? Look, all these questions are questions I ask myself all day. The story that I am to tell cannot be told by who's sitting here. This guy is the artist that made this, but the artist that made this is like one of the worst versions of myself, which is still the best version. It's still pure love. But the guy who sells these, the guy who ships these, the guy who studies the concepts that develop these visual aesthetics and the systems that they get distributed throughout, I wish you could talk to him. But he's talking to you. Are you listening?
There's something that you said earlier that I want to get back to. You said everything, all of your art is perfect. Everything that you've ever made is perfect because it comes from your brain.
Yes.
With that being said, is there a conscious, active center in your brain in which you store these creations and pull them out of? Or is the perfection in the process of your brain? Explain how.
Yeah, no. When I say perfect, it's more of like, you have to understand, I think it's a commentary on my personal philosophy of God and universe. No one can tell me I didn't just do that. No one can tell me that I didn't just turn that on its side.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I'd say the fact that it's on its side is perfect because it's like a perfect artifact of space-time, of consciousness within space-time. Now, if if I want to design a nice set for a character, I would place this in a very perfect location. Now, an imperfect location for a nice set of a character would be down here, or like here, or down. But to me, that's the difference between design and not even art, but artifacts. Like it's funny. I used to think about myself as like an animal, like a research experiment. I remember at one point I told people that I was donating my life, my whole body to my art and my research, and then I did, which was a whole thing. Where were we? And no, so shit. Where were we?
Your body. Donate.
As a research.
As a research.
Yeah. Oh, so I remember I used to be fascinated with like learning different parts of my consciousness and exploring different parts of my brain and manifesting what that looked like in creations like music and art and poetry and this and that and dance and business decisions and business moves and businesses, motion. I'm locked in. Are you kidding me? Look at what's around me right now. The fact that this room is silent is driving me crazy. Are you kidding me? But now, I don't really look at myself necessarily as the research experiment. because it implies a dualistic experience of an experimenter and the experiment. Now I just am, and I do whatever I feel, and I do my best to align with God and know that what I feel will be in His alignment, and I'll be protected throughout. That's expression.
Mm-hmm.
Because to be in this body is, for lack of a better word, a whirlwind, for better or worse, and that is my decision in every moment. And it's an active decision, and it's a responsibility, an active responsibility, for I'm the creator of my universe. And no one can tell me I'm not. And that is the difference. That is the difference. Who's going to tell me what I'm seeing? Who's going to tell me what I'm seeing, what I'm not seeing? Who's going to tell me that's not a black dot? Who's going to tell me that that globe is not on its side?
How is it, or what is it that you receive as confirmation that you are in with that alignment?
It's infinite. It's so infinite, and it's so beautiful and also maddening at the same time. It's in everything. It's in everything, and when you look for it, you can find it in all the light that is being inputted, all the information, all the vibrations. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm seeing the directionality of form in my vicinity, and it keeps taking me to my everyday painting, which is like, it's a painting of transcendence in that direction. So it's like a perfect spiral, and that's like kind of the whole point. It's always perfect. Everything is always perfect, and that's it. And just that awareness and remembering it brings you back, because it is not out there, it is in here. So whatever I see, I see. If I am sad and I am looking for the darkness, I will find it, and I will see the darkness in everything perfectly. It'll be so perfect, how dark, how destructive, how everything can come crashing down, how everything can become nothing, and it'll be so perfect and so beautiful. Thank God. But it's a choice. It's a choice. The directionality is a choice. It's either this or this. And even doing that, I can't even do that. I need to do like 5 more of these. You know? All right. I'll get some water.
Yeah. Explain to me more about your vision in spreading this pure love. How is it that you are going to reach people beyond where you're currently physically located? How are you going to reach other cities, states, countries, etc.?
Well, my brain immediately thinks about networking effects, and branching patterns in the universe, whether it be veins, lightning, literal branches, capillaries. How can we be strategic about energetic distribution? So, as founder of New Renaissance, which is a group of artists, group of dealers, group of collectors that are thoroughly focused on creating this channel through which innovation can occur with art and culture, all through the embrace of change that is occurring in not just the zeitgeist, but it seems like all systems, political, biological, energetic. So by being intentional by being intentional about where we do shows, where our artists do shows and how we do them, and what kind of energy are we putting out there, and with that intention, and it comes from the art side, but also from the distribution side, like who is collecting the works, where are the works ending up, and the impact, where are a number of the proceeds going to, where we can further tell that story, and further water that seed wherever it may be. So we're looking to do things in New York, talking about Hong Kong soon, Miami. We got a lot in store, and it's always unfolding and continuing to evolve.
That's great. Tell me more about New Renaissance. What is it exactly? How did it come to fruition?
Well, it's like the old Renaissance, but new. And to be very honest, it kind of has nothing to do with me or any of my buddies, but more to do with this moment in time, where we are rapidly approaching the technological singularity in the advent of artificial general intelligence, with rapid innovations in robotics, massive global changes are instant with the internet, and now we have Web 3.0 approaching. This moment is not one that is linear. It's one that is exponential, and singularity is just that. It's not a things are going to make sense until they don't. It's going to get weird. It's going to be linear until it's like nothing is the same and will ever be the same. So a lot of that is predicated on learning. And we are learning so much. I feel like we're learning the language that the ancient scriptures were written in. We're learning about quantum physics and its implications. We're learning about the unified, infinite, unmanifest field. We're learning about the power of observation, the power of the infinite I am, if you will say. And an embodiment of those learnings mixed with the technology, whether it's a wearable or a chip in the brain or bionics or just a totally separate robot. That combination is the new Renaissance. Now, the art, everything here, and the artworks that me and my buddies be making, and pretty much all art that is a reflection of that journey. is the telling of that story. It is the story at the same time, but it's very important to make that distinction because it's so much more than what these look like.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this looks like a red painting with a figure in it, but what it represents is that with focus, I can completely tap into the infinite potential of the vibrations of different parts of my body to maintain an infinite, unobserved state. And I don't even know what that means. But that came out of my brain and out of my body. And part of New Renaissance is us studying that, studying what that means and its implications.
Yeah, it's interesting how you talk about this collision of technological advancement and art. In a way, we can look at art and see it as technology. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Visual technology. I mean, I'm looking at this and it's changing how I see.
Right. Absolutely. So how do you think moving forward in time, art will affect these technological advancements? How is it that, yes, technology is affecting art, but how is it that the opposite will also occur?
When I was working at Temi, the robotics company, this question was at the forefront of my mind. And really what I see it as being is, how do we convey something that is foreign in a way that will be subconsciously understood? So, and I'll come back to this stuff, but with the robots, they're, in America, I would say, if I was alone, just that cycle of sounds would have got me in the music studio. I should just point out.
Should we make music?
Should make music. That was literally like
the robots.
I just
heard
a whole song. I just heard a whole song in my head. Like, I just character switched.
I just heard the robot telling you, "Don't you be talking about me."
We were talking about robots?
Yeah, you said the thing about robots. Beep, beep.
Let's see. Don't you be saying nothing, bro. I'm pointing at my robot right now. Listen. That's right. The thing about robots is they're foreign, but they come with baggage. You know, we've seen scary movies of robots taking over the world and this and that, and that's we approach the system with fear, so therefore it won't align. So when I was working at Temi, I was always thinking about, how do we tell a story that changes that narrative? And sitting here right now, you know, it's been 5 years, 4 or 5 years since I worked at Temi. Sitting here right now, I have a whole different philosophy of marketing. For I'm not interested in changing any narrative. I act as if there is no existing narrative, because the moment that I'm trying to change something that exists, I'm fighting something, and now I have to compete with that. There is no competition. This is my narrative. This is my narrative. No one can tell me it's not. And the audience is going to react how they react to that. I must not really, I must maintain equanimity when it comes to audience, because my main focus is on maintaining my vibration, maintaining my focus, being my being, creating the art, maintaining the businesses, running the show, and leading the way. It's a vision. And anything that you see come out of this physical body is a fraction of what's actually happening. The art is a byproduct of what's actually happening. And what's actually happening looks like nothing. It honestly looks like me just sitting in silence for like 10 hours straight. But like, you can find the entirety of the cosmos in a grain of rice. And it's important to remember that, because the center of my consciousness is so much greater than a grain of rice. It's everything and it's nothing, depending on what I am. So, yeah, that answered the question in a roundabout way.
Yeah,
But here we are.
Sticking to this like robotics technology kind of theme, we've seen like a lot of AI come out with art, and a lot of artists feel either competition or feel a threat from this technological advancement. Where do you lie on that?
Trying to get me riled up. Look, if any robot wants to come head to head with me, like, I would welcome it. I would love to paint with a robot. Look, there's no competition. Come on. It's all evolution. It's all development. It's information distribution, information evolution. I don't exist. Everything that I have made has been my creation.
There's something that I learned once that I'd love to hear your thoughts on. And speaking about God and this understanding of, okay, well, if God is everything, why create anything? And it was this understanding that God made creation to experience himself. So as an artist, as a creator, how is that reflected for you? How do you experience yourself through your art, through your creation?
It's changed over time. In the beginning, when I was alone, during quarantine, during isolation, I made art as mirrors, as eyes, as observers, spectators, I called them. And slowly, it's been a journey closer and closer. And in that journey, the depiction of the works, I believe, has been the soul. But in the creation of the works, in being in total alignment with a soul's manifestation, I feel like I've become everything. And I remember I used to experience that feeling early on, but I didn't know what it was. I would just create a painting and reach that climax, and then sit back and look at like the creation and feel like I was new. But I didn't know what was going on behind the scenes. As I studied more, I started to learn more about what's going on behind the scenes. And in learning, or should I say, in unlearning a lot of things, it's been a coming to terms with the potential to instantly change my reality depending on my vibration. Solely based on my conscious focus, my one pointed consciousness. And I truly feel as though I flipped the universe. There are no more spectators, there's no more audience, there's no other. Any camera I'm talking to, any interviewer, any person that is watching this, and I say this with total love, but I see you and I do not see you. I see you as the totality. When you walk by a tree and the tree is blowing, and then it causes you to sway with the tree's movements and the wind, I love you, I love the tree, I love the wind, I love the swaying, I love the leaves, I love me, I love you, and it's the cycle. I don't see the separation until I do, and then the whole thing collapses. So it's been a process of coming back to that power and learning how to intentionally collapse the wave function towards the reality of my choosing. A reality where everything that I observe comes from that place of pure love. And if there's anyone out there that can hear this, know that for me, myself, I am trying my hardest. But I might not achieve the totality of its potential. But if you're out there, you can. It is very possible, and its entirety exists right now. I can only do my part, and I can only see what I see. It's funny. This is unrelated, kind of, but I love making music, and I always dream about performing in front of so many people. But I would not be able to make it through a concert without crying. It's not because I'm sad or this or that, it's just some of these things, they overwhelm the senses, the physical, as they should. I mean, I can't tell you what it looks like from your perspective, but when I close my eyes and I become everything, I truly feel like I explode into everything, and I feel like it looks like that. All right, let's continue.
You said something about studying.
Mm-hmm.
Explain to me the process of studying something so profound.
It's really, this sounds so silly and so funny, but there's nothing profound about it. It's every time, it's everything, everywhere. So it's just an awareness of that. It's an awareness of that everything is valid and is studyable. You might say, well, what do you mean everything? All I'm seeing is like this, that, and there's nothing special about this, that, and that. Well, then that's why. Because there's nothing special about what you're seeing. And the mind is infinite. We can see anything. Open a book. Go for a walk. Touch grass. Look at a tree. Hug a tree. Change what you're seeing. I can only see what I see. And it's a privileged statement. But I believe that the privilege lies less in the resources and more in the awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know billionaires who are miserable.
Yeah.
And it's the privilege of resources in my life that went into developing this awareness is immense, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
This was not taught in schools. This was taught in experiences that I had, and it was always a leaning into curiosity, trying to understand self. It always comes back to self. Oh, that's selfish. Yes. Yes, as it should be. My experience is the most special thing to me in my entire life. And I honor that to the highest. And I know in doing that, it honors every single person I've ever known, because I am not experiencing them up there. I'm experiencing you here. So if I'm happy here, then like then I am.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's touch more on like what you said, billionaires that are miserable, right? So it's not about the resources. Is then the key to this happiness, the key to this joy? Is it that awareness?
Yes. It's liberation. It's total liberation. Knowing that, I'll go back to it until I die. Knowing that I look at that black dot and with total one-pointed consciousness as the only thing in my existence. That is total liberation.
Mm-hmm.
Total liberation from the rebirth cycle. Wow, that's a big statement, Joe. Well, yes. I say that because until I observe anything else, it exists in an infinite unmanifested state. And just focusing on that black dot is so beautiful. And it's beautiful because everything else becomes the void to me. And from that space, I can create the reality of my choosing. And it's the reality of my choosing, which to me, it goes back to that heart space. I am choosing the reality in which I can create a heart space where everyone I look at is pure love. Everything I look at is a reflection of pure love. Now, it's very important to maintain my practice and my intentionality with it, because it can easily become something like, if I start preaching this, if I start sharing this information and like trying to tell a person like, no, you can be pure love, it creates inherently a system where there is a person who is not that. It creates that duality. It creates that separation. So to be intentional and to, instead of trying to change, instead of trying to compete, instead of trying to, it's just a being one, a being the light, being the reality, the totality, everything that you want to see, you must be it. And to be honest, I really, I think talking about it and like me talking out loud, me making English words with this body, sitting in this chair in front of a camera, it breaks the wave function in a way that leads to suffering. Because it creates an observer that's external to the self. That's how I view it. So really doing stuff like this for me, doing interviews, is one of the hardest parts of my practice. And it has nothing to do with interviews, and just has everything to do with I don't know, something to do with collapsing the wave function, I think.
That makes sense.
Do you think that I should touch on anything else in this interview? This has been a very, very wild interview. Very cool interview.
I have another question.
Yes.
Maybe it might like ruffle some feathers.
Ruffle.
But so this idea of awareness and this understanding that, you know, there is a privilege that comes with having the resources and the tools to be able to explore that and have that opportunity. What can somebody with no resources, no privilege, how can they reach that level of awareness and manifest this physical reality of pure love in a space that doesn't nurture that type of reality?
It is the question. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I know the answer, but I will tell you I've seen it. I've seen it with my eyes. And I know people who have done this. And one of these people is one of my best friends, someone who I consider to be a brother, someone who I consider to be a soul brother, someone who has truly told the same story that I've been telling in the complete opposite side of the world, but with total love and total synchronicity. His name is John Mock, and he is based in Amman, Jordan. And for, I think starting in 2020, for a large number of months, he was living on the streets and making money selling art, his drawings. And through that hustle and self-belief and vision, he was able to get a studio and has since built such a successful currently unfolding career that, to me, has everything to do with who he is. And if you listen to what I just said, you'll hear something crucial. And it's that I didn't answer your question because he had no resources, but he always had vision. Then you ask, how do people get the vision? We always have the vision. We always have the vision. Even when what we're seeing is terrible, we are creating that. And I know how easy it is for me to say that. But I say that and I take personal accountability because I will either choose to live in a world where these things happen, or I will choose to live in a world where these things do not happen. And I can only be myself, and given the resources I've been given, which are relatively everything and relatively nothing, I've done what I've done, and I will do what I will do. And what I will do is to manifest the vision.
Okay.
We all have that vision.
So, follow up. Given that we all have that vision, for those that cannot see clearly, what is your advice or your experience or your truth?
Well, it's been a lot of study. When you talk about study, it's been a lot of study, reading about psychology, reading about religions. For me, I'm big on studying different religions, different philosophies, and holding not loose beliefs, but maintaining a state of liberated observation, so that way I can see anything that gets presented or that could be. But texts like the Bhagavad Gita were essential in understanding this concept of the self. Studies about Buddhism were essential in understanding the concept of non-self. Studies in Christianity were crucial in understanding how the Father and the Son plays a role in this concept of self and non-self. Son being potential of the manifested self, and seeing these associations, all the while studying science, and expressing. Look, the vision has nothing to do with art or with, but the vision is just being yourself. And it's so cliche, like, be yourself, you can do anything. But I'm here to tell you that there's nobody else. Just be yourself. Turn up. Go leave it all on the stage, because there's no stage, there's no audience, there's no performer. It's just raw energy. And we are the source. I am the source in my universe of the raw energy. And I can't speak for anyone else, but I'ma turn up, I'ma go live, I'ma keep going as big and as loud as it needs to be for me in the given moment, and I'm also gonna be as quiet as I need to be in the given moment. It's a true unfolding of authentic expression. And in this personal state of balance and flow, I can be my best self in my community and spread as much pure love as possible. I spend my days dancing in total bliss, literally twirling in whirlwinds of euphoria, and I don't even know when the art gets created. And 99% of the world has been taught that that is not possible. We can all have it all. Yeah, I'm upset. Yeah, I'm upset. It pisses me off, to be honest. Like,
this idea that we can all have it all and yet we don't.
yeah, because I believe that y'all ain't got the fucking ideas. Like, we got the technology, we have the systems, we have the resources, but who's gonna step up and lead the way? There hasn't been anyone to do it. People have been doing pockets of innovation, but who's thinking at a global scale for everyone? Everyone can have it. We have an infinite potential. Why the fuck are we settling for anything less than 100%? For anything less than heaven on earth? It pisses me off, and it fuels my fire. And we've talked about anger and like how that can be productive, but it's so important that I maintain intention of the positive directionality with that anger, because you know the past doesn't exist, and instead of using that anger to like smite any systems that are oppressive, I just need to create the perfect system. And every human has the potential to create their own perfect universe, their perfect system, where all the spirals connect in perpetuity. And there's been definitely, I know one guy who has shown us it's possible. He's shown us twice actually it's possible. Amen. And he's not coming back out there. He's coming back from within. And I can't speak for anyone else, but you just gotta do you. Getting me riled up.
You don't think that's strategic?
Anger?
No, this system of limitation that is set on people that keeps us from achieving that 100%.
I think it's strategic, but I think it's stupid. And I'll say that because we live in an infinite world. Why would we not go for a win-win-win? I believe it. I believe it's possible. And at the same time, I'm humble. I'm humble enough to know that it is the upper limit as well, you know, because I believe that, well, part of me believes that there is sentience out there beyond Earth. I said part of me because the other part of me believes that there's no sentience on Earth. Or anywhere. And it's and to think that I could enact total pure love across the cosmos. you say that's inappropriate, blasphemous, or impossible? Or do you think that's like a goal?
To enact pure love?
Total pure love across the entirety of the cosmos. There is no more suffering across every single sentient being in the cosmos.
You're asking me. My understanding of that is that has already been achieved through Jesus. He came and he died and he suffered and he conquered death and brought that peace and the kingdom of heaven to us. It's already been done. Something that we are striving towards is something that's already been done. Now it's just that level of awareness. So that pure love exists. It's what everything is made of.
That's right.
However, also, in this physical reality, the presence of suffering does not eradicate the presence of love. It is simply proof of it. When somebody dear, close to me, passes, I suffer because I love them. When somebody dear to me is going through something and battling with their own struggles and their obstacles, I suffer on their behalf. Having Jesus in our heart, becoming one with him, is taking on all of that suffering, taking on all of that persecution on behalf of everybody, and understanding that is where the love comes from. Without feeling somebody else's suffering, you can't love them. That's why God himself had to come down onto this earth to express his love to us. Die that we may inherit his will of that pure love, of that unlocking of the kingdom. But it was through his suffering. And when we understand that we all are within God and therefore all died on that cross with him, that is the moment that we died. That's a wrap.
That's good.
And scene.
See, the universe can only reflect my vibration.
Yeah, that was incredible.
Really started. The key is to not collapse the wave function.